episode 234 of the All the Books Show, recorded at the David A. Howe Public Library. We talk book news, author news, and literary news. I'm Eric Michaels.
I'm Nick Gunning, and boy, you sound tired, my friend.
I am, and that's why I even said we're recording at the library.
And
we're not.
No.
We're recording at my house.
Yeah, this is fun.
Yeah.
You sound tired and a little belligerent, if I'm being honest.
Belligerent?
Yes. Anyway, I'm Nick Gunning, and we have a special guest today from the Previously on X-Men podcast, and my
Wolverine!
wife, Hillary Gunning.
Oh.
It's not Wolverine. It's Hillary Gunning.
Hillary, welcome. When was the last time you were here? Was it X-Men? I think
Yeah,
so.
I think
Marvel.
so. I think we did the... No,
wasn't
we did
X-Men
X-Men
after?
after that.
Oh,
Hillary's
yeah.
been here for our Wonder Woman spotlight, our Captain Marvel spotlight, our X-Men spotlight, and I think maybe that's it.
Yeah.
Is this your fourth?
That
Okay.
sounds right.
All right, well, welcome.
That's all she's
Thanks
allowed
so
into.
much.
We're having Hillary here today because we're talking about the classic DC Comics team Birds of Prey.
Golden
which-
Eagles,
No,
No.
red-tailed hawks,
no, those are
Incorrect.
literal Birds of Prey.
bald eagles.
Okay. So we're going to be talking about Birds of Prey a little bit. Hillary has outread us in Birds of Prey by a long shot, so
Kind of.
we needed her
Kind of.
expertise.
Are we going to fight?
This can't be another Star Trek: The Next Generation situation.
Stop talking about
Sorry.
that.
Okay.
All right, so we're going to be talking about Birds of Prey, but right now let's
If
talk.
I was at a bar
God.
Oh my
and there was a
gosh.
quiz show,
This is
I
what
would
the-
answer more Birds of Prey questions.
Context for
Then
this
me?
context for this bit would be that Hillary thinks that she owns Voyager.
Are we going to put
No.
this...
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Let's move on.
All right, before we talk Birds of Prey, let's get into some
You would get
bookmark.
7 out of 9 questions right, and I would get all 9.
Hilarious. Wait, was that on purpose? Okay.
Yes! All right. So.
Hillary, have you read anything interesting you want to tell us about?
Are we doing bookmark?
Yeah, let's do it.
Right now?
Yeah, bookmark.
All right, I have it right here.
Okay.
The most recent one I read was The Other People by
Yeah.
C.J. Tudor.
What is
who-
that?
It's that one that you brought me from a conference or something.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
It's like sci-fi, right?
It says it's sci-fi. It's I don't know. This is part of my issue with it.
Okay.
I am told that this author has many very good books.
Mm-hmm.
This I don't think was a very good book. I rated it 2 stars
Ooh.
Take
Ouch.
this.
on Goodreads. And the problem is it is kind of good. Like the writing is good and the characters are interesting, but it's incredibly unbalanced. It was very weird. It's like a story about this man who his wife and daughter were murdered,
Okay.
and then he's just sort of like obsessed trying to find it because he doesn't think that his daughter is dead.
Okay.
And so the whole thing is him driving around the country trying to find her. And so it's sort of part that kind of like mystery thing, but then there's sort of this weird like supernatural element that is very, very small, but ever present. So like I don't know. It's not a,
Well, that sounds like nonsense.
it felt a little like nonsense.
Okay.
It's not a great book, but that's the most recent one I read. I
Okay.
tried reading Wolverine: The Long Night,
Oh, yes.
which is the graphic novel version of a podcast that I listened to
Yeah.
a couple years ago.
Like an official Marvel podcast.
Yeah, Marvel and Stitcher did a podcast, and it was great. It's like recorded with this fancy technology, so you feel like you're there. It was really great. I loved
immersive.
It's got Richard... I don't know his
it.
name.
Armitage.
He's tired.
Armitage?
Armitage.
Yeah, he played
As Wolverine.
Thorin Oakenshield.
Oh.
Oh.
Hobbit.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah. Well, anyway, it was great. The podcast was great, and so I
Okay.
thought that probably the
Graphic novel.
graphic novel would
Yeah.
be great. I couldn't even finish it.
Ooh.
I think that they just used the script from
The Long Night.
the podcast
Yeah.
and just drew pictures.
Oh, like.
And-
okay.
That is how
can't-
comics
No,
work.
you know what you
But
can't
it's-
you
sorry.
can't just take something
Yeah.
from one medium and just plant it in another one. You have to
Yeah.
adapt it. It didn't feel adapted at all.
I see.
So it just didn't work. So
Well,
that's
too bad.
2 strikes.
Okay.
Then before that, I read Ta-Nehisi Coates' Between the World and Me, and that was
Oh,
fabulous.
yes.
So that's my last good one.
Nonfiction? That's nonfiction, right?
That's nonfiction.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like a letter to his son.
Okay. He's got his first novel is out right now, which has been on my list. And
I haven't read that.
I've had a hold on the audiobook for a long time, but it's very popular, so my audiobook has not come in yet. But
You also read Killers of the Flower Moon.
Oh yeah, I did. That was also very good. That was a little more like research.
you read that like
What?
2 years ago, didn't you?
Yeah, I read it while it was hot.
Yeah.
So,
While it was hot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was ahead of the curve
Hot, hot,
that
hot.
time.
Well, I was really getting on the train.
Yeah.
while the train had already been going.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
I think I went to bed around 3.
Should have brought you a Mountain Dew this morning, Tiger. All right, what about you, Eric?
I don't drink Mountain Dew unless I'm in a Pizza Hut.
Okay.
So
That is a strict rule.
yeah, it has to. Yeah,
Right.
it has to. You have to put limits on yourself.
Well, what have you been reading?
I read Weapon X by Greg Pak and friend of the show. You like to say that, Fred Van Lente.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. You know what's funny? He on Hillary and I's Hillary and mine and Hillary's. I
Hillary
and
and
Hillary's.
my.
Hillary and Mine podcast previously on X-Men when we had Fred Van Lente on. He talked about how much he didn't like Wolverine or the X-Men, but Weapon X is an X-Men book that's all about Wolverine.
Wow.
Just like his Wolverine First Class.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the real story is
Maybe
here.
that's why he doesn't like it. 'Cause
Yeah.
he gets stuck with it.
Does Fred Van Lente have like a toxic relationship with Wolverine?
Wolverine.
Like he doesn't like him, but
He just can't quit
He
it.
can't quit it.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So it kind of deals with this volume dealt with Wolverine and his Weapon X crew fighting Nuke. You know, well, not Nuke, but a bunch of people stealing Nuke's drugs. You know, Nuke, the guy who
I know
paints the
Duke
flag on
Nukem.
his. He paints the flag on his face. Red makes him. He takes pills. A red pill makes him strong. A white balances him out. Anyway,
That's the Matrix.
they end up fighting all those like fake nukes and teaming up with Nuke. But that was fine. But there were 2 issues in here where Sabretooth. Okay. So
Oh, boy.
during Axis, during the Marvel event Axis, some superheroes were inverted, so they were kind of villainous,
Oh, okay.
like Iron Man, and he had that infamous Iron. What was it called? Do you remember?
or Professor X, just normally. Right?
Just
That's
in
true, yeah.
Everyday life.
But then some villains got inverted and were turned good, and most of them were turned back at the end of the story, but a few weren't, and Sabretooth is one of them. So Sabretooth has been in this weird spot where it's not a character development, but he's just good because of this like weird event that happened. But they've been writing him as he's good, but also he still loves killing, so he just has to be like aimed right. Anyway, there's 2 issues though where it's Wolverine's birthday and Sabretooth's old self just kicks in 100% and he just starts trying to kill Wolverine again because he attacks him every year on his birthday.
Yeah, that was a big thing in
Yeah.
Fred Van Lente's.
I know,
Wolverine First Class.
which cracked me up when I was like,
funny.
oh, there's his name. And then at the end, Sabretooth just goes, once it's not Wolverine's birthday, like on the dot. He's like, all right, see you later. And then he just goes off to have a drink. So it's just, yeah. But it's also just kind of fun watching Sabretooth try to beat the crap out of Wolverine on an airship. So
You can dive back into the All the Books archives at soundcloud.com/allthebooks or anywhere you find your podcasts for our Fred Van Lente interview.
Yeah.
And over on Previously on X-Men, they also interviewed him about those other things. So
Yeah.
go find Fred Van Lente interviews.
don't
by us.
call the X-Men those other things. It's not
Sorry.
appreciated.
I'm sorry, you're right. You're right.
I can't talk about it now, but I read Huntress Year 1.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've
That's
read
all.
that. Okay.
And I'm reading that book I told you about, The Altered Carbon.
Yes.
I'm reading Altered Carbon by Richard Morgan.
I am not a fan of this cover. I keep seeing this because it's
Yeah.
on your Goodreads.
Yeah.
And I hate it.
The premise is it's in the far future and people can switch bodies after death, maybe before death. I'm not entirely sure. I haven't got to that part yet. But if you die, your brain and consciousness are transferred into another body. Though you keep your consciousness like up to date, like saved and everything. Anyway, it's a like film noir kind of mystery. He's trying to solve the murder of a man who's a very rich man. It is also the one hiring him because the guy is now in a new body.
Oh.
So
Twisty.
Yeah. I also got to read Dread Nation and Woods Runner for some book clubbing, and I got us at the library Avengers Standoff by Nick Spencer, which is where I believe Maria Hill has mind manipulated some supervillains to thinking they're in like a Pleasantville situation, so that it's like a prison, but just so that they can like live in this like, nice 1950s style town, and then things go a little crazy. On the Unlimited app, none of it's put in order, but there's so many different titles in this.
That's very
so
confusing.
I used my power at the library to get us the hardcover,
Yeah.
so I can read it in order.
Good thinking.
All right, that's it.
Okay, well, I finished a few things. I read Call of the Wild, Eric's recommendation, and I enjoyed it very much. We're going to be talking
Righto.
about Jack London in our next episode. So
Is that in our next episode?
That's right.
Time flies.
A little research for that.
When you're Jack London.
But that was good. I don't really understand, like, having seen the trailers for this weird Harrison Ford movie and his, like, CGI cartoon dog, I don't really understand what that is.
Yeah.
I don't.
The kids' film where Harrison Ford dies at the end.
Okay, but like, okay.
Right?
Yeah, I just don't know what character.
Dies of
I don't
pneumonia
know what
and
character Harrison Ford is
elements?
playing, so I guess I'm just confused by that. But
Maybe he's playing
I
the
read
human
that.
version of Buck. Maybe he gives into the
Oh,
wild.
Maybe.
And he just like disappears in the woods. And
All
Buck is
right.
like, well, I'm going home.
I also read the Lost Stars manga, the first volume. This is an adaptation of Claudia Gray's Star Wars novel, Lost Stars.
Oh, yeah.
We're scheduled to interview Claudia Gray in the coming weeks. So I've read a lot of her other things, but I haven't read Lost Stars, so I thought I'd give the manga a try. And finally, I finished Road to the Altar, which is a Green Arrow, Black Canary team up, and it's actually a perfect transition between episodes because
We talked Green Arrow.
I know it's coming out of the Kevin Smith, Judd Winnick Green Arrow run, and then there's this like Black Canary miniseries that takes us into a Green Arrow, Black Canary series, which is kind of adjacent to Birds of Prey. So it was actually like I wasn't intending to read it that way, but I was like, oh,
There
here
you
I
go.
am in the new
Yeah.
episode.
Here you are.
I'm currently reading Woods Runner by Gary Paulson.
What? I said that.
I know, but I'm actually reading it.
Ugh.
Of Hatchet fame. It's a little more violent than I expected.
Well, I just gave it to a bunch of 7th and 8th graders.
I think it'll be okay, but you know, like there's a pretty savage attack early on, that sort of thing. But you know,
Is it a bear?
no, it's like Revolutionary War stuff. So there's a
British
settlement
bears.
that's raided.
What
Is it a
bears
moose?
are local
No.
to England? England doesn't have any bears,
Well,
do
it's- I mean, it's
do
not
they?
set in
I don't
England,
think there are any bears in
Yeah.
England.
but it's kind of an interesting book because it's you know it is just narrative. It's a story, but it also has. In between each chapter, there's like a historical segment that just kind of gives context to what he's talking about in the fiction segment. So
Nice.
I thought that was interesting. It should make for interesting conversation book clubbing.
Well, I'll be the judge of that.
I'm currently reading The Scarlet Plague by Jack London, which I don't want to get into now because we're talking about it next week, but I'm very blown away that this like futuristic sci-fi novel was written in 1912. It doesn't seem like it's from 1912, but I will say no more.
Okay.
But that's it for me.
A lot of
That's-
references to like iPods.
Yeah.
And you're like, how
Yeah.
did he know?
Yeah. He's like, I have a vinyl record I'm going to play. And I'm like, what? No. But that's it for me. What do we got as far as book news?
I don't know. Do you have any book news right now before I read the New York Times bestsellers list?
Nothing particular. A lot of page-to-screen adaptations happening right now, but
That's true. Like Sonic the Hedgehog.
yeah, not to talk more about comics, but did you see that they're doing an official like continuation of Batman the Animated Series in comic book form?
I did not.
Well, they are.
They technically did that for a long time.
Yeah, but now they're making a big deal out of it.
Okay.
So
Nice.
I'm not really good
Oh,
at
you
it.
said before you were gonna do it. All right.
she's
This
all
is
talk.
the young adult hardcover fiction on the New York Times bestsellers list, and at number 10 is 5 Feet Apart by Rachel Lippincott and Mike Daughtry. Stella and Will are in love, but they can't get within 5 feet of each other.
and this is the one that was just made into a movie with Jughead.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, with
What's his real name?
Colson Sprouse.
Just Cole.
Cole Sprouse.
Okay.
5 Feet Apart actually sounds like the ideal. Like you're too
Relationship?
close right now.
Oh, well.
I guess just
Eric has a
move a
bubble.
couple,
He
3
does.
more feet.
He has a wide bubble.
Number 9, Infinity Sun by Adam Silvera. Twin brothers are caught up in a war between the magic spellwalkers and bloodcasters.
They cast blood.
Yes.
You got it. You figured
Yeah.
it out.
Number 8, Yes, No, Maybe So. Romance blooms between two unlikely teens while working together on an upcoming local election.
I've worked many elections and I've never seen a romance blossom.
I've never
Yeah,
seen
So
teens.
I call foul. Yeah, good point.
Maybe it's a high school election.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
7, One of Us is Lying by Karen McManus.
One of us is lying.
That's ABBA. That's
Yeah.
ABBA.
For 5 students, a detour in detention ends in murder.
Uh-oh.
Look out, redhead from the Breakfast Club.
I...
Molly Ringwald.
Wow.
Number 6, One of Us is Next.
What?
By Karen McManus. And this sequel to The One of Us is Lying, a deadly game of truth or dare via text now plagues the students of Bayview High.
Interesting.
So look out, guy who got cigarettes from his dad on Christmas. Who was that? Who was the actor?
I don't know.
The one who's like, no, Dad, what about you?
The guy with the trench coat guy, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah, the
Oh,
trench-
from Breakfast Club?
Yeah.
Judd Nelson?
Oh, Judd Nelson. That's Judd Nelson? Oh, you know who I'm thinking of? The judge guy. Judge Reinhold?
Judge Reinhold?
Yeah.
No, Judge Reinhold
Yeah.
is not.
Whatever happened to Judd Nelson?
He was on Suddenly Susan.
Okay.
He did a few episodes of Psych.
Number
I think he's just cashing those Breakfast Club residuals and living
Yeah.
his best life.
Number 5, A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. While trying to solve a murder-suicide case for her senior project, Pip
Like
now
you do.
finds her life in jeopardy. What's going on in high school these days?
I know, a lot. Elections and murders.
Yeah, you used to just throw a bunch of kids in detention. They bond over like situations.
So we're doing Breakfast Club still?
Have you seen The Breakfast Club? You haven't seen it. Okay,
I've
well,
never seen Breakfast
maybe
Club.
we pivot then.
Number 4, Children of Virtue and Vengeance by Tommy Adami. Zali must stop the threat of civil war in Orisha. Children of Blood and Moon. Zali fights to restore magic to the land of Orisha. Is that not the same plot? Civil war and then magic. Got it.
Yep.
All the Stars and Teeth by Adeline Grace. When a princess coronation ceremony goes awry, she makes a deal with a pirate that says he can prove her worthy of the throne for a price.
Is the price her teeth?
Yeah. So like how the girl who was also in Short Circuit was in Breakfast Club.
Yeah.
Have you seen any of these
No.
movies?
Am I right? Ali Sheedy.
Ali Sheedy is in that. Ali Sheedy's also in War Games, which I love.
Yeah, War Games. I've seen War Games.
That's good.
I've seen Short
Would
Circuit
you like
2
to play
for some
a
reason.
game? Yeah,
But not the first
Short Circuit 2 was the one that I think was more like kid popular.
Oh, that explains it.
Yeah.
Number 1, The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas. I actually just think I would hate The Breakfast Club, and that's why I've never seen it. Every time I see a preview about it, I'm just like, oh, that looks not my thing.
It's got great moments. But
yeah.
it's an 80s movie, 80s pacing and all that.
The Hate You
I
Give.
watched it with Nick, and it was soup's boring.
Yeah.
That's true. We did watch
Yeah.
that together.
It's just a bunch of teens
We weren't
during
even
detention.
married.
Who cares?
Yeah.
Teens get detention and
Sorry.
lives suck.
Yeah.
The Hate You Give, 154 weeks on the list. That's
Pretty
a
good.
lot.
That's
That
a-
is 2 years.
Yeah.
It's his 2-year anniversary.
It's like 4 years, 3 years.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see what I've done.
3 years.
All right, it's not even his 3rd-year anniversary. My apologies, The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas. All right.
Okay. Well, are you ready for segment time?
Yeah, unless you got any other book news that just... I keep expecting you're going to have something like, oh, this just in, Stephen King's retired.
No, he's still going strong. I think maybe you should back away from the mic, and I'm just going to give you a good hard slap in the face and just see if that shakes something loose besides a filling.
Yeah. Woo!
Actually, that invigorated me as well, so I think that worked. Okay, well, as we said at the top of this awkward show, we're going to be talking Birds of Prey, the
Right.
DC Comics team. Guys, I think that we should talk about the movie first,
What?
and then go, backwards from that. You don't like that?
Like start at the movie
No,
and then
alright.
jump back.
No, start at the movie and then go back to the roots of the characters.
Right, and then work our way back to the movie.
And then do it all again.
Right. All right.
All right, so the movie...
Did you just see Quentin Tarantino's movies for
Yes.
like the first
Yeah,
time?
yeah.
This is how I will live my life.
Yeah.
So depending on when you looked at your phone, the title of this movie is either Birds of Prey and the... what is it? Fantabulous Emancipation
Of one Harley Quinn.
Or, now, you're seeing Harley Quinn, Birds of Prey.
Or
Yeah.
as we call it, HQ Bop Attack.
Pop Attack.
All right, so this is this movie sits in a weird place because it's sort of a sequel
A
to
nest?
Suicide Squad.
Yes.
Because you have Harley Quinn and you have actual footage from Suicide Squad in the
Yeah.
movie.
As much as like Wonder Woman's a prequel to Justice League or
Yeah.
Aquaman's a
Yeah.
sequel to Justice League.
Yeah, whatever. So, Suicide Squad is not required viewing. I don't think you need to see that at all to get
No,
where
the
you are.
only requiredness of Suicide Squad is shown very quickly.
Yeah.
And it's really just like Harley's origin,
Yeah.
which is just seen. If you know anything about Harley,
Yeah.
like that origin is there. So
So-
you just miss Jared Leto's like weird laugh. I call it a laugh because that's what the movie thinks it is.
Yeah. I gotta say, I was not really anticipating this movie. I didn't have high expectations, but we all went together, and I think we were all like equally surprised at how much we enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's much more of like a actual
Like a real
respectable
movie? Yeah.
movie than I was
Yeah.
expecting.
Of course, it's the first of the DC movies that's rated R.
Incorrect. The Joker.
Oh yeah.
Joker.
Okay. Well, I guess I was thinking like the official DC extended universe, but yes, Joker wins first, and then we have our Harley Quinn here. But it is definitely a step up violence wise.
Yes.
Violence and language. I mean, it right from the get go, you're like, oh, they're gonna earn that R. They're gonna earn every bit of that R. But I think for me, I was a little. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a huge Harley Quinn fan, like in any medium, really. Are you?
Yeah. I mean, the animated series Harley Quinn. So.
Which is like her origin.
Yeah.
She just came out of that
Yeah.
show.
That and then sometimes in the comics, but post New 52, it's been a hard sell for me.
Was she
So.
part of the Suicide Squad prior to New 52, or was that when it first happened?
No. She because the Suicide Squad wasn't around She was first introduced in the comics during No Man's Land storyline.
Okay.
They brought her in the comics like officially into the universe and everything, and so Suicide Squad wasn't a thing. So yeah, New 52 was the first time he's like Harley's also in the Suicide Squad. Buy the book.
I think I was least interested in the segments that were like very Harley specific. I don't know, how did you guys feel?
In the movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Like, there's something appealing about her.
She plays the character well, Margot Robbie. I mean, there's no denying that.
Her shtick has like something that sort of draws you in, but it was the least engaging, I think, of all of the stuff. Like, once you brought in the rest of the Birds of Prey,
Right.
then it really kicked in. It felt like like the movie really started once they were all together.
I agree. I think structurally, I actually did kind of like the non-linear storytelling that it did, where you get a bunch, and then she'd be like, "Oh, wait a minute," and then we kind of go back.
I think it benefits from that because otherwise you don't have certain Birds of Prey characters for about 75% of the movie
Yeah.
if you don't like start switching things around.
But I think, and I know that's not some new idea to
Yeah,
do.
it's
it
how we're recording this podcast.
Yeah, exactly. But I do feel like it worked really well, just because then it's like each Huntress and Black Canary and Montoya, like they each sort of got their own little like intro segment that was like all their own. So you really got like a mini origin for all of them, which I thought was
it
pretty
kind of works
cool.
well for doing Birds of Prey at all,
Yeah.
because then you get the feel that they all have their own thing going on.
Mm-hmm.
So because with Birds of Prey, you don't just have a team. You
Right.
have people who have decided to work together who all have their own stories going
Yeah.
on. And a lot of them have their own titles going on at the
Yeah.
same time. So it worked well to do it that way for the movie. It felt like they knew the characters to do it that way.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that I thought that Journey Smollett as Black Canary, I thought she was great.
She was perfect.
I thought she nailed it just from the first shot of her. I thought she was great in
She
that
had
movie.
exactly the right energy.
Yeah, the attitude and the strength. I mean, she seemed powerful and confident without seeming... I don't know. I mean, I think sometimes in the comics, with especially with Green Arrow, sometimes they make Black Canary not as strong as she could be, and I feel like here they really used her well.
Yeah, I guess occasionally I've seen in the comics they suffer from trying to make her a romantic figure for him and sort of cheat her out of being her own strong character. I think a lot of the time though they do
I
work
think
really
you're right.
hard to make sure that she stands
Yeah.
ahead of him really because she's much stronger than him.
Yeah.
But yeah, in the movie she had exactly the right vibe. She's strong, but she also has very casual attitude. She's just perfect.
Yeah, she was really good. What is the actress's name who played the Huntress? I love her in like
Mary Winston Smith? Nope, I said that wrong. Mary Elizabeth Smith. Nope.
Winstead.
Winstead.
Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
Oh,
Thank
my
you.
Lord. Sorry,
From like
Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
I think I first maybe saw her in Scott Pilgrim. And
Yeah,
then
she's great in that.
What's the Cloverfield that she's in?
10 Cloverfield Lane.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I enjoy her anyway, and so I thought her take on Huntress was unusual in this, but I liked it.
I thought that it wasn't the kind of aloof that Huntress often is in the comics.
No, it's an awkward aloof.
Yeah.
It's
It
an
had-
awkward, don't know how to talk to people aloof.
Yeah, it was more like a nod to Huntress,
Yeah.
I think, but it still worked. I think it really worked with the tone, particularly of the movie.
Yeah. And Renee Montoya, who, is, I guess...
Also introduced in the animated series.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So.
And that's...
Oh, now I know who she is.
Yeah.
That's where I know her, like, mostly from. I don't think I've read
animated
much.
series, she's like a beat cop, and then when they move over to Kids WB, she gets like promoted to detective. I don't know when she was first introduced into the comics,
Yeah, I
but
don't
like
know.
as soon as she was, maybe it was Gotham Central, because that's where she figured quite a bit, and then they turned her into the Question.
Right. And I mean, the
later
Question
on.
works with Birds of Prey occasionally, but
Yeah.
I was a little surprised that they went with that character for this.
Yeah.
But I thought it worked really well, too. Like, I thought
it really
her
worked, too.
dynamic fit in really well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I mean, you have Huntress, you have Black Canary. The one noticeable absence was Barbara Gordon, who is typically a member of the Birds of Prey as Oracle or sometimes just as Batgirl.
Yeah.
But we didn't have a Barbara Gordon, but we did have a Batgirl sort of represented in Cassandra
Yeah.
Cain. But it was a very weird take on Cassandra Cain.
Yeah.
Hillary, have you read any of the Cassandra Cain Batgirl books?
I think so, not recently
Cassandra
enough that I
Cain.
would really...
Cassandra Cain also introduced in Batman No Man's Land.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh. Well, she takes over for Batgirl after Barbara Gordon is out for a while, and she comes back as Batgirl, right?
During No Man's Land.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Because she's the one who can't speak, so her Batgirl costume has no mouth.
Right.
But
And
it must scream!
in her background, she's like trained to be an assassin,
She's... I can't remember... her dad is an assassin, and it's
At some
not...
point, isn't she in the League of Assassins?
Yeah, I feel like it's a League of Assassins connection, and her like dad trained her and everything, but forgets all that. She had her own comic book series for
Yeah.
a while.
I've read several of them.
Post No Man's Land. So
Yeah.
it was her for a while, and then I guess Stephanie Brown came after. So.
Well, but Cassandra Cain was, I think she was maybe Black Bat for a while.
Maybe that's
when,
what they called
during
it,
Grant
yeah.
Morrison's Batman Incorporated.
Yeah.
When we had Batman's in different areas.
Yeah,
Cassandra
eventually
came back in.
she got her voice back, and I think even she like became a villain for like a bit. So
So in this movie, Cassandra Cain is one of the main characters, but she's just a
like an 11-year-old
yeah,
girl.
she's like an awkward tween. She is really I'm surprised they would use that name even because it really had nothing to do with
Yeah, Gail Simone had a whole Twitter
Thread?
posts. Yeah,
thread, a whole Twitter thread about how she loved the movie. She thought it was the best adaptation of a
Yeah.
comic, blah, blah, blah. But that what people are really fixating on is this one thing that she said, that she wished that they had named that character something else because she's a great
Yeah.
character,
Yeah.
but not Cassandra Cain
Right.
really in any way.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I was wondering like why didn't they use Sin?
Sin would have been perfect.
Black Canary's like
Well, Sin has she couldn't be that character if she
Okay.
was
Okay.
Sin
I
because
see.
integral to her character is that she's very
Yeah.
very not isolated.
There's
She just doesn't she didn't grow up in regular culture.
But that's
she's
the same-
only an assassin.
that's what I'm saying though. That's what Cassandra Cain is too, and like
so she should
neither
have been
yes
something
neither
else.
one of them neither one
She
of them
could have
worked.
just been a brand new character
Yeah.
and been sort of like a lens for the audience.
Yeah, and I don't know if they have any intentions with that character, like if they
No idea.
if that
Yeah.
was a seed that they were planting.
No.
I mean, I don't know, but I liked her. I mean,
An
I
egg
thought,
that
I thought
was-
she
they
worked
were
well, but it was odd to call her
planting.
Cassandra Cain.
'Cause
So
birds.
we have
Did
we
you
have
say egg?
yeah, because birds.
yeah. We have all
Do you
these
have
threads.
like an adrenaline shot?
I
and
know,
just, like, shove in
seriously.
his
I thought
leg?
that slap would work. It's all kind of leading to the Birds of Prey finally coming together, which doesn't happen until very late in the movie. But,
Spoiler warnings at this point, I guess.
is that a spoiler?
I don't know.
Well,
maybe.
like from now on, maybe
Yeah.
it's a spoiler.
Oh,
Yeah, I
well,
didn't know where you were going.
I was going to steer away from spoilers. but
Okay, never mind.
They don't. They don't really come together until the I don't know, the last quarter. Would you say of the movie?
Yeah, I mean, it could even be later.
But I also didn't really feel cheated by that either. I think because of the structure,
Yeah.
I guess I didn't feel like, oh, now we get it, but it did make for a cool moment. When they were all together, and we have a fight sequence, I thought that felt Birds of Prey to me.
It did.
feel
It
like
did feel
that to
Birds
you?
of Prey. The one thing that you're lacking that I think is really, really important for Birds of Prey.
I know what you're gonna say, and I agree with you.
And it's the fact. I mean, it's the fact that they chose not to go with Oracle, basically,
Yeah.
because Birds of Prey need to have a directive.
Yeah,
They have to be on a mission.
right.
And so I think it works as like this is just the first time that they're together, whatever.
Yeah.
But it lacks that integral feeling of like being on a specific mission, having somebody in their ear telling them what to do,
Yeah.
being able to have more conversation because they're connected in that way.
Yeah.
Those things were lacking,
Yeah.
but they had great chemistry. The choreography of the fighting was awesome. You could really tell that it was directed by a woman because there were all just different ways that they were interacting that felt as a woman watching it felt like little nods to me to be like, remember when that kind of thing happens to you? It was little things like that was nice to have.
Are you
for
talking
Birds of Prey.
specifically about the hair tie
The
scene?
hair tie was a very standout thing, yeah. But that kind of thing happened kind of throughout the movie
Yeah.
once they were all together. That you don't get a lot of in a more traditional superhero movie.
Yeah.
So just cute little things like that were nice to have.
Yeah, it's funny that like 80s and 90s action heroes with all their like super long mullet hairs never needed a
that's
hair
true.
tie either.
Remember Superman's mullet time?
Yeah.
Don't we all?
Yes, and one thing that I noticed too, especially coming out of Suicide Squad, where Harley Quinn is like so sexualized that
Hideously sexualized.
Yeah, it was kind of surprising in a movie with her name in the title how little of that happened in this
Yeah.
movie. I think that was very
Well, she made it
noticeable.
happen. Margot Robbie.
Oh, really?
yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was supposed to be. I mean, you remember all the different titles that were going to happen.
yeah.
Margot Robbie's the one who's decided that it was not going to be Gotham City Sirens. It was going to be Birds of Prey.
Wow, cool.
Because she her feeling was everybody knows who Poison Ivy and Catwoman is, but when looking through Birds of Prey, she was like, oh, there's a lot of characters in here the general audience doesn't know. Let's do this movie instead.
Well,
So.
I really applaud her for doing that because that's probably a good portion of why it was less of a sexualized movie because if they were considering
she's had
Poison
complaints.
Ivy and Catwoman,
Yes, that's true.
that's a completely different vibe.
She's had complaints about her costume and everything from Suicide Squad. She's like, do you think I enjoyed being in that suit and having everybody look at me like that? No.
Yeah,
So,
they shouldn't be going after her on that.
I think she made some pretty important calls with that.
Well, it's really noticeable, and I think it worked really well because Birds of Prey is exponentially better as a movie than Suicide Squad, which is a sloppy mess, So I think it was a big step up. We do get some comic accurate costumes, which is cool.
Yeah.
And I would definitely watch Birds of Prey too.
Well,
Now that they're in their spot, but you don't think that's likely?
I don't know. I was talking to some. Definitely, as one of my friends put it, it's probably the last rated R Birds of Prey we'll get.
Well, I think that was a mistake, honestly.
I
don't think it was really served by the.
I really don't know
or...
what is the reason for the low box office. I keep seeing like all these hot takes online, but it's just like I just don't think it's like you can't just say like it's rated R because Deadpool and Joker were rated R and completely different movies. And I don't think you can say that it was Suicide Squad because that didn't hurt like anything else that came after Suicide Squad.
I mean, Suicide Squad was popular with certain groups, kids, younger, and that was how many years ago?
4 years.
And I mean, they just didn't capitalize on that. And then like Harley Quinn is not really in the title. I don't know. I mean, if you're not familiar with comics, you might not know what this is.
I'm going to speculate a little bit that having watched the movie, I think it probably was made to appeal to a completely different audience than Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
But when you see Harley Quinn as the lead, you
just think Suicide Squad.
You think it's going to be another Suicide Squad. And so the people who liked Suicide Squad will see a bunch of ladies on the screen and not be interested. The people who didn't like Suicide Squad because it was hideously sexualized will think that's what this movie is, and so they won't want to see it, because that's what happened to me. I only saw it because I was going to do this podcast.
Yeah. I don't know. So
I mean, I think at when it was all said and done, though, I walked away really pleased from that movie.
I thought it was great. I wish
time.
more people would watch it.
I think it's one of DC's better movies.
Yeah.
So I was pretty happy
in that
with
it was a movie.
Right, exactly. But there are certain aspects. I thought there were really clear, like Birds of Prey moments that it got that showed that somebody involved had a bit of an affinity for Birds of Prey in the comics. Many things it didn't even touch or sort of got wrong. So why don't we dive back into the comic book history of these characters a little bit.
This is Nick. He's 15 and he's picking up a Birds of Prey comic for the first time. I was like in the movie.
Yeah,
narrated.
Thank
Sassy.
you. Yeah.
All right. This is Nick. Big dummy, isn't he? But he's picking up a Birds of Prey for the first time. Finally making a smart choice, aren't you? Let's see how that pans out.
So the first
now you get
time,
hit by a truck.
Yeah. So the first time that we have that Birds of Prey attached to some of these characters is really sort of a one-off.
They're miniseries, right?
Like there's a couple. There's
the
a couple
Chuck Dixon
early on.
ones are all miniseries.
Yeah,
I think.
Yep. Chuck Dixon has one that's just called Black Canary Oracle: Birds of Prey.
Yeah.
And it was really just a team up between those two characters. There's one where it's Black Canary and Catwoman, and there's a couple little things like that don't quite settle down.
I didn't have a good internet connection when I was trying to read Birds of Prey comics for the first time, so I couldn't just get online and do this. So I'd go to my library and I'd look on the back of these trade paperbacks and try to figure out which one was the first one I was supposed to read. It felt impossible because
it is really hard.
Because the first 2 volumes are the Chuck Dixon one, so I'm like, I don't know which one is volume 1, and then the Gail Simone one is also a volume 1. So I was just like, where do I start? I had no idea.
I mean, the series doesn't really pick off as where it gains its momentum and its popularity until Gail Simone takes over. And so when you collect it into trades, that Gail Simone volume is sometimes listed as number
volume
1
3.
and sometimes as volume 3 because each number wise it is volume 3, but story wise that's really, I think, the true beginning of what that book is. So
Goodreads says I haven't read Chuck Dixon's Birds of Prey. I swear I have.
Goodreads is a liar.
Yeah.
We do have a couple volumes of Chuck Dixon's Birds of Prey right here in our collection, so stop in and check out Birds of Prey. Hillary, you've read the whole Gail Simone arc,
Yeah, I read the whole run.
and that's a lot. That's a lot.
Yeah, I've been reading it for I want to say 10 years.
I feel like
I've
that's
just
true.
been
That's a
spreading
volume a
it
year.
out
Yeah, pretty
over
much.
all of that time.
Yeah.
I've read all of that. I read the Black Canary stuff that was kind of in between there.
Yeah.
That really kind of connects pretty closely to it plot wise.
Yeah.
Even when Black Canary ducks out of Birds of Prey for a while,
Mm-hmm.
she and Barbara are best friends.
Right.
So it's always something going on there.
Eric's laughing because you said duck,
Ducks.
and it's all bird themed. So.
Yeah.
Did I
but-
say duck?
Yeah, you said she ducks out.
Yeah.
I'm gonna start doing that now.
Yeah.
All
All
of my
bird
idioms will be
puns.
bird related.
Can we put a little bell ding whenever someone
Yeah.
makes a bird pun?
Yeah.
So, Hillary, what do you think it is about the that classic run of Birds of Prey that makes it work so well? Because we've both read the complete New 52 Birds of Prey, and
Well.
that whole run just lays an egg.
Yeah.
Guys,
Like a bird.
so the Gail Simone run, though, I mean, what do you think it is?
Well, I think it's more than anything. I think it's that duo. I mean, it started with Oracle and Black Canary, and
Yeah.
I think you have to have those two for
Yeah.
it to work at all. I mean, you have to have that core relationship, ultimate
Stupid
trust.
Barbara.
It's an interesting thing with Barbara in her wheelchair, and she's
Yeah.
the very
Cerebral?
cerebral one, and Black Canary is the embodiment of physicality, and so
Right.
that's a nice duality to have. So that core is really necessary. Then you have Huntress who pops in, and she's kind of a free agent,
Yeah.
and you never know exactly what she's gonna do. So
Right.
it's a really good trio.
She's a wild card.
Yeah, she's a wild card. So you have the two that are locked together. They're
Yeah.
in lockstep. They're gonna do what each other says, although they, both,
Right.
they trust each other.
Yeah.
Huntress, who is on board but can do
Well,
what she wants.
She's aloof.
I think Huntress for most of the run still sort of feels like a day player.
Yeah, she
even though
does.
she's in almost every issue, it's like each time it's sort of like, well, we need Huntress for this one, and she's like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
You know?
Can't
Which
keep
I
a good
think
huntress
is-
down.
I think is because where she ends up being really tied is socially
Yeah.
rather than professionally.
Yeah.
So when you have the three of them together, they're all tied together, but Huntress professionally will feel like that, like a day player.
Well, she's
But then you can also be adding in, other people, like they have Manhunter coming in, and they've got
Martian Manhunter?
not Martian Manhunter, that took me a while.
The other Manhunter.
But there's lots and lots of basically women
Yeah.
superheroes
Fringe
who
Birds
pop
of Prey,
in.
yeah.
That works really well. In the New 52, when they try to revamp the entire situation, you don't have really anybody.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
Black Canary's
Black Canary's
in
there. Yeah.
Yeah. But it just doesn't work without that pair of her and Oracle.
You know what,
they
though?
have to be together.
Barbara Gordon is in the New 52 run as Batgirl.
Batgirl.
It just doesn't
It
work.
doesn't work.
Yeah.
It doesn't
It's just
work
a
at all.
different dynamic. It doesn't
Yeah.
work.
Well, I think going back to what you said about Huntress, and I mean, she's just coming from such a different place because you have Barbara Gordon who sort of grew up on the being sort of the optimistic side of Batman, and then the whole thing with the Joker putting her in the chair, and then her sort of grappling with that change, but then really rising to it as Oracle, and then Black Canary with her her training and the background that she brings to it. It makes sense that they would sort of gravitate towards each other. But let's talk Huntress for a minute. You just finished Huntress year 1, and I think of the three of us, you're probably the biggest Huntress fan.
Is that true?
I think so.
That's probably true.
Yeah. I love Huntress.
I
She's
know.
great.
Yeah, well, take it away. Tell us a little bit.
First time I read anything with Huntress was Batman No Man's Land. So during Batman No Man's Land, Batman is not there at the moment. He's trying to figure out how to be Batman during this new No Man's Land situation. But there is a Batgirl going around, and it turns out that it's Huntress, which at the time, so Batman No Man's Land was the first Batman comic I ever read.
Oh.
Period. It was very early in me getting into comics.
When was
so,
it written?
This is 1999, I think. And so I just picked up the first trade. I was like, let's do this. Let's read my first Batman comic. So I didn't know who Huntress was at all. But throughout the 5 volumes, she's a big player, playing as Batgirl. But then Batman's like, you can't be Batgirl anymore. You're too violent. She's like, screw you, which is always nice to see. And the moment there's a big heroic moment for Huntress where Joker is going to steal Gotham's future now that they're trying to rebuild Gotham. So he goes to an orphanage. He's going to kill all the kids there. And
Oh, he's dark.
Yeah, Joker's it's a dark storyline. A lot of bad stuff happens, but Huntress gets there. She figures out where he's going first, and basically just like stands up to Joker and all the goons. And she gets shot, but she doesn't stand down and everything. But it was a very like dramatic moment where she's like just by herself with her crossbow. And I was like, oh, this character is so cool.
She's not well served by year one. The Huntress year.
The Huntress year one. No, I mean her story is that she her family was killed, so she was raised by a group of assassins.
Her family was like the mafia.
Yeah. She comes from a mafia family. Her family was there was a hit. She gets trained by assassins, and then she becomes the Huntress. And then later on, she becomes more heroic. I think she's always kind of played as like a anti-hero, willing to kill character. What else about the Huntress? She's cool. She uses a bow staff. She has a crossbow. Her costume is cool. She's got like that cool purple look with like that white cross design. So that's cool.
Yeah, and as Hillary was saying, like once we get into the New 52 era, like
she
after
disappears for a while until they.
Well, Huntress is with
Grayson.
Grayson. She becomes a secret agent with Dick Grayson. They work for Spiral,
right.
And that whole arc is a big snore.
Yeah.
To my mind, I just don't like.
Yeah,
it
I was
all.
sad when New 52 kind of got rid of Huntress for a while.
Huntress and Nightwing.
Yeah,
I mean, you didn't have either one.
Yeah,
but the New 52 Birds of Prey, I was surprised that I'd read as much as I did because I never liked it. You know, like
No, I didn't.
I realized when I was going back preparing for this that I'd read 4 out of 5 of the volumes. Because I just was like, well, forget it, and I didn't realize it was the last volume. You'd read them all, like back at the time.
Yeah.
So I picked up volume 5 just recently. I still don't like it.
Yeah, it always feels like there's no consistency in who's really going to be in it.
Yeah, well, you start with
always...
Poison Ivy, you have Katana for a while.
Yeah, it always feels like
rolling.
they were just like, okay, well, we need women to be in Birds of Prey, and that was the only criteria.
Yeah.
They didn't try to think about who would be involved in this kind of organization.
Yeah.
They didn't think about who would go well together with chemistry. They just picked some people and threw them together, and they were all bad.
With the exception of Superman, I don't think that anybody comes out of the New 52 well. And I think I'm in the minority in liking the New 52 Superman. But when you finally get to the Rebirth era, after like many false starts with Batgirl, I mean, how many times did they stop and restart the... you had the Burnside era? And...
No, I mean, before that, you had the Gail Simone Batgirl run, where now she's no longer Oracle and she can walk again. And then, then it becomes the Burnside one where she gets that new design.
Yeah,
the
design is cool.
But I think that only lasted for like 3 volumes, right?
Yeah, but then you have sort of a beyond Burnside, which is a transition.
Which has been going for
Finally, when you get to the Rebirth era, I think is the first time since the Gail Simone era where Birds of Prey starts to feel
Batgirl
right
and
again. And I don't think either of you have. I've read all 3 of the Birds of Prey.
I haven't read it.
You guys haven't read that,
Rebirth,
right?
no.
Okay, so in that you get the classic team again. You have, but it's Batgirl, not Oracle. So you have,
I think that's.
but hold on. You have Batgirl and you have Black Canary and you have Huntress, and there's some really cool arcs in there. There's one that really kind of rips off Why the Last Man, where there's a disease that is taking down all the men.
Oh,
no.
Let's talk about Why the Last Man.
I love Why the Last Man. What happened?
It's a crazy world where all the women are in power, but it's told from the perspective of the only man.
Take that, Brian K. Vaughan.
Anyway, there's a cool arc in Rebirth where like all the men are down and they have to like work with it, and it's actually like handled really well. So it's a nice comparison to Why the Last Man, because this actually works. But the thing that I think sells this...
What? Stop throwing Why the Last Man under the bus.
I'm not throwing
10 volumes.
I'm not throwing it under
Seminal
the bus.
piece of comic book history.
I know. But anyway, but you do have somebody sort of filling the Oracle role. I'm not going to give it away, but there's somebody who had been...
Is it? I know who it is.
Do you? Someone who'd sort of followed the Birds of Prey and then works their way into the Oracle role, and it's kind of like, do we trust this or not?
Yeah.
And it makes for a really good thing, and Barbara sort of can't resist doing a little like Oracle quarterbacking, and I'm sad that it's only 3 volumes because I did really like it.
Yeah,
especially
well,
by the
I
end,
definitely want to read that. I'd like to see that. I am always, whenever there's stuff in Birds of Prey about like, oh, I wish we had Batgirl back, or like little hints that she's gonna walk again. I'm just like, no, stay in Oracle world.
There's one little mini run that we haven't really talked about, and that is after Gail Simone, which that run ends in an Oracle miniseries called The Cure, which is just a 3-volume.
Yeah, I just started that.
After that, you have 2 volumes of this weird place in between the end of the classic Birds of Prey and the start of New 52. So there's 2 volumes of this like kind of weird. I haven't read any of those, so I don't really know anything about them. But the Birds of Prey has been pretty consistent since 1996. Maybe not in quality, but it's been there. It's been present. I don't think it's really been well represented in other media, maybe ever.
Birds of Prey?
Yeah.
Are you talking about that show?
Well, that show is one of them.
So, I watched live the pilot of the Birds of Prey TV show,
This was
yeah.
but I only watched the first 15 minutes of it. Like, I'm sitting there, and I'm just like, oh no.
Yeah.
And I think it was like how little I knew about like Batman history that kind of actually ended up being the thing that perturbed me, because when they were talking about Huntress and her powers, I'm like, that's not what would have, but it was.
Oh.
That's
Yeah.
like
But
the original
that
Huntress.
is an idea of Huntress that I've never liked.
Yeah, the original Huntress from like the 50s?
I think it's 70s.
70s, that she's the daughter of Batman and Catwoman.
I just think that's so trite.
Yeah. Well, it was like was that
It's
in
Earth
the-
2. It's
Yeah,
Earth
it's
2.
Earth 2 stuff.
It's an
so
alternate
like,
world. Batman and Catwoman
Yeah.
have a daughter, Helena Wayne. She
Yeah.
becomes the Huntress.
so I didn't know any of that. But I just was like, I don't think this is going to be good. And then live, I watched the last 15 minutes of the last episode.
I still haven't seen the last
Yeah, we haven't
episode.
finished it.
Oh!
We've watched
No.
most of it,
Yeah.
but not... How many episodes have we
I
not?
think there's like 4 episodes.
Do you
Four
remember
episodes.
the song, All the Things She Said?
No.
The song like, all the things she said, all the things she said, running through my head, running
Oh,
through
yeah.
my head. Yeah, that was in it. That's during the last fight. So
That
that's
sounds
how
about right.
dated that show is.
That we just started watching it again, the
Yeah.
ones that
Yeah,
we
we
haven't
picked up
seen,
one.
and it is unbelievably dated.
So this
Yeah.
this is a weird show because it's the
During the Smallville era.
it's during the Smallville area, and I think they were kind of intending that it was in Smallville's future because the Birds of Prey show makes references to the Smallville meteor showers, which is not really present outside
Oh,
of
really?
I remember
outside
that.
of Smallville.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but the lead up promotion included Keaton and Michelle Pfeiffer in those roles, like showing the history of how we
Yeah.
get to,
Oh, yeah.
which is
Yeah.
strange. And then I want to say that I think Mark Hamill voices the Joker in the pilot of that.
I think so,
I'm pretty
yeah.
sure he
Because
does.
the
That's
Joker
cool.
is the one who kills. He's supposed to have killed Batman.
Yeah, but you don't really know. It's
Yeah.
ambiguous.
Yeah.
So yeah, you have Ashley Scott as the Huntress, and they actually just did a callback to this series in the Crisis on Infinite Earths in the CW.
Oh, that's
You
right,
saw a little
yeah.
glimpse of it.
Well,
again,
the person who
which is cool.
plays Black Canary.
Well, not really. Lori Loughlin, like Aunt Becky from Full House and Prison, plays Black Canary, and Rachel Scarsden, I want to say is her name, plays Black Canary's daughter.
Right. So the person playing the daughter is now in Batwoman.
In Batwoman.
As
Yes,
Alice.
Yes.
Yeah, she's turned out to be a very compelling actress.
Yeah, she is. In this, though, she doesn't have the black. She doesn't have the canary cry.
Yeah,
she
let me
has,
talk
like,
for a second about this show.
Wait, Dinah Mare is in it.
I-
Dinah Mare plays Oracle,
Yeah.
Yes.
which is cool.
Yeah.
She's
And you do see her suit up as Batgirl a time or two.
Dinah
Yeah,
Mare
you
from
get to see her-
Dragonheart.
Yeah, but so this show,
Or from 90210.
I had already liked Birds of Prey at this point, and
Yeah.
my favorite character in Birds of Prey is
Black Canary.
Black Canary, because Black Canary is fabulous. So this show that I start watching has Batgirl, or like Oracle, is fine. Like, not great, but fine. And then
Played by
you
Dinah
have
Mare.
Huntress, who is the version of Huntress that I have always hated.
Yeah.
This
But she's
daughter
still
of
a
Batman
version of Huntress.
Yeah.
thing, annoying.
Right.
And then you have a Black Canary who is not Black Canary
She's
in any
psychic?
way.
Yeah.
She doesn't have any fighting ability, which you just have to have for
Yeah.
Black Canary. It's just unbelievable.
Yeah.
Does she have fishnets?
She doesn't have fishnets. She's a child, and she's like telepathic. It just
Yeah.
makes me crazy. I
Yeah.
don't even know why I kept
Yeah.
watching the show, because it's just wrong.
Yeah.
It's just 100% wrong.
And no, maybe you don't know. All right. Well, there was another character who was in it.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, but I won't say anything then.
Oh, I mean, you know
Okay.
that. You know that from the beginning.
What?
There's the psychiatrist, Dr. Harleen
Oh, Harley.
Oh yeah,
Quinzel.
Harley Quinn's in it, which I didn't know until like I was watching the last 15 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that's also Harley Quinn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Boy, I'm glad I didn't watch this show.
Which is about the only precedence for Harley Quinn being involved in the Birds of Prey.
Yeah?
Look, I was weirdly inspired by this show though, and the concept of Birds of Prey. Though as a teenage boy, so like I came up with my own like 3 street level superheroes that was trying to meet the same like level of Birds of Prey.
Like you wrote a story, or you
I was in the
enacted
process.
this?
No, I was like I had it on paper and everything.
Because you were a teen vigilante.
Yeah.
I was a teen vigilante.
You have history.
So I had like these three superheroes that I thought were like on par with the Birds of Prey power level and stuff and coolness. So Night Strike was one of them.
That's a good name.
Psyblade, and then I forget the other one. He's deaf, but he's psychic, so he can communicate telepathically.
Wow.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So he's like Daredevil, but
Yes.
with
Yeah, I was being inspired by a whole bunch of things.
Yeah.
Anyways, so
So this show didn't last. It's maybe 13 episodes on the
Yeah.
WB
Yeah.
from 2002.
it is very WB.
It is. But
Yeah.
I gotta say, I appreciated the inclusion in the Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Yeah, I
thought
did
it was
too.
a cool,
I thought that was really cool.
a cool callback.
But
Yeah.
it does that thing that WB was doing at the time when they did it with Smallville too, where they did superhero shows, but they weren't really superhero
Yeah.
shows. They
Yeah.
were like weird teen dramas.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, they knew what side of the bread their butter met.
Yes.
They knew what's...
Nope.
You're right. Cut it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why you want bagels, because there's
Yeah,
only
it's
one
true.
side
It's-
to
it's
butter.
very
one side.
clear. It's very
Clear cut.
Birds of Prey almost show up in Justice League Unlimited.
Yes.
There is an episode where Huntress and Black Canary
Written by Gail Simone.
are together, but they couldn't use Barbara Gordon, even though they wanted to. For some reason,
Man, they're such babies about using Barbara Gordon. In
Oh,
this.
that was during the whole Bat embargo.
yeah, they just
remember?
weren't allowed to.
Use
They
any
wanted
Bat
to.
character.
No, I'm
Yeah.
saying they won't let her be
Yeah.
in anything.
But they still had Black Canary and Huntress teaming up. So they brought in the Question and Green Arrow, I guess, to fill
I
up the
think I've
spot.
seen this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's basically they're after Huntress, who's trying to kill. I think it's Waylon Jones, who
I think
killed her family.
You come a little closer to getting like a true Birds of Prey in Batman Brave and the Bold.
I was gonna
think.
say the Fight Night episode of Justice League where Roulette is having this big underground fighting thing, but she's mind controlling all the female superheroes to fight. And so it starts with like Huntress and Black Canary, and then it just like keeps building until like at the end they've got Vixen and Hawk Girl like back to normal, and then Wonder Woman shows up to fight them. Like, oh crap! It's a fun episode for all of them.
But I don't think that there's ever really a time when you get a true like classic.
Is
lineup.
Batgirl in Brave and the Bold?
She is, but I don't think she's in that episode, and she's
Okay.
certainly not Oracle.
Weird.
I don't think you ever get like
Yeah.
a real true adaptation of like Oracle leading
Yeah,
Huntress and
Black Canary.
Black Canary. I just don't. I don't
No,
think that
not-
ever happens.
not in,
It seems
So-
like when you just look at that trio, it seems like a really obvious
It does.
thing that
It's-
would just
yeah.
like work
it's Barbara Gordon that becomes the issue because
they just don't want
because
it
she's
either.
Bat related and she's got DC and Warner Brothers, they just put all that
DC,
baggage
just
on it.
do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Seriously. I don't think.
though I guess like you said with the show, it wasn't Barbara that was the problem.
No,
It
it
was
wasn't
Black
Barbara.
Canary.
Yeah.
You just have to have all three, and
Yeah.
at the very least, you have to have Oracle and Black Canary.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think you're right. The Arrowverse never gets either Huntress or Black Canary right. I'm just gonna
Well,
say.
Huntress
think?
is fine at like when they use her because like when they first introduce her because it's her origin, so it's like that stage where she's nothing but vengeance and all that. I remember she showed up for one more episode in like season 3, but they
Yeah.
really just like considering what an important character she was, they
Oh,
really
yeah.
just like dropped her.
It's
They
weird.
completely
I
whiff
mean, if they were gonna
those
use
characters.
Huntress at all, I don't know why they wouldn't make it like a thing. And
Yeah.
there actually is an Arrow episode called Birds of Prey, and Huntress and Black Canary are in it, but they don't team up. They don't like work together. So
Yeah.
it's just like, what are you
Yeah.
doing? I was saying I don't really feel like Arrow. I think Huntress is kind of close to what Huntress should be, but I don't think they ever really settle on getting Black Canary quite right.
For the amount of effort they seem to put into getting Black Canary right, I mean, they have like 3 or 4 characters
Yeah.
throughout the course of the series that
Yeah.
they try in the Black Canary role.
Yeah.
They never get close.
That actress is so weak though. Katie Cassidy.
She's not though.
Here's the thing.
That's the
Okay,
thing.
so Katie Cassidy starts as what I'm gonna say is supposed to be the official Black Canary because her name is
Laurel Dinah Lance.
Laurel
Dinah
Dinah
Laurel
Lance.
Lance.
So she's Dinah Lance.
Okay.
That's Black Canary.
Yeah.
She starts out as just this little waif.
Yeah.
And they
Yeah.
just can't. They try eventually to get her to be a tough character, but they have just laid too much groundwork. She is not that character.
Here's the thing that drives me crazy about that though, because Katie Cassidy was in the reboot of Melrose Place, And in that, she's a better Black Canary
Absolutely.
than she is in the
You
Arrowverse.
can see her
Yeah.
100% being Black Canary.
So when
but
they-
the writing just
Yeah.
killed it. They completely killed it. And then
When
they
they-
bring in Sarah, her sister,
Yeah.
as like she's been with the League of Assassins. And so
White
she's,
Canary.
But she's Sarah Lance in the Arrowverse is the first character to use the Black Canary name.
Okay, fine.
So she's technically the first Black Canary.
She's the first
in the
Black
Arrowverse.
Canary.
Yeah.
She's more badass.
Yeah.
She's closer
Yeah.
to what they're trying to do. So they've done too much damage to Dinah,
Yeah.
and so they bring in Sarah. Maybe
Yeah.
this can be the new Black Canary, but they can't get her to land either.
Yeah.
And it just makes me crazy because Green Arrow
Yeah.
needs Black Canary.
Yeah.
Like if you're gonna do a whole series of like drama
Yeah.
with Green Arrow, you got to have a good Black Canary.
Yeah.
And they try and they try and they just don't do it.
Yeah.
It makes me crazy.
And eventually they bring in another actress to play Dinah Drake.
Wait,
which
this is where I'm at.
alternate version.
Oh.
Of-
No, I'm at the one where the former cop is a Black Canary.
Yeah, Dinah Drake.
Oh, okay.
Dinah
Well then,
Yeah.
no more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm only on season
Beyond
5.
that, we will stop talking about it. But they have several actresses that they try to bring in, and it never works.
There are moments where it clicks, but I think they've kind of failed that character.
They've utterly failed
And
that
this
character.
city.
And this city.
What do you mean?
I don't get it.
All right.
Like politically?
Yeah, you got it. I think, I mean, my favorite Birds of Prey, I think, is always going to be the Gail Simone, though I was really pleased with the Rebirth run. What about you?
Oh yeah,
Classic?
definitely Gail Simone.
Yeah, all right. And you?
The TV show.
Oh, really?
No, no. I
Those
mean,
15 minutes
I-
were golden.
What is volume 3/volume 1? What is that called?
that sounds right. Of Like Minds. That's the one with like Savant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the one that I would pick up. Of Like Minds, I think I think even though it's not technically a volume 1, it's not the first issue of the series.
Yeah.
That's where you'd
I
start.
think that's where you want to go. I
Yeah.
do. Because I think that's where it's all together there. I think if you try to go to like the Chuck Dixon 90s stuff, I don't think it's going to land right for you. I think this is where it clicks. So that's what I would recommend. And I still hope they get it right sometime in the future.
Yeah. Again, not hard.
No.
Very
It seems-
clear-cut formula.
Yeah.
Just follow that formula,
Yeah.
and you have it.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we covered it. What do you think, Eric?
Yeah.
Are you still awake? Oh, you're still
Yeah,
awake?
no, I'm
Okay,
still
good.
awake. I'm
Okay.
just trying to figure out if there's any more like Huntress talk I can fit into
You
here.
want
but
to
probably
add a
not.
little bit
She's
more?
a teacher.
She's a teacher?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, maybe you haven't gotten there.
Ha.
In the
Well-
Gail Simone run, she gets to be like a middle school teacher.
Ha. Well, I didn't know that.
It's really interesting actually because
hilarious.
she a little bit the character shifts quite a bit, just a little spontaneously.
Right.
Like cuz she starts out very like dark, killing
Yeah.
people. And yeah, by the end she's a middle school teacher or she's
Yeah.
a principal.
Hmm.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And she's kind of like nice.
Huh. All right. Interesting. She was in Hush.
I love
She
Hush.
was in Batman Hush.
Yeah, I love Hush too.
So that was a thing.
So Huntress is she like a top tier character, like DC character for you?
I love Huntress. Yeah.
Top
I
tier?
mean-
Did you say?
Are you going to be Huntress
Would you
for
put her in
Halloween?
like? Would you put her in like a top 5 DC?
I
Top
don't
10.
know. Maybe.
Top 10.
Top
you
10,
would.
yeah. I like her a lot in the Batman universe.
Yeah.
I've said before, I don't care so much as Barbara Gordon as Batgirl. I like her much more as Oracle. So I prefer like Huntress in that role, I guess. Especially because she just doesn't take crap from Batman. And in a different way than like Nightwing. Like Nightwing's like, all right, Dad.
Yeah,
but
Nightwing's got the history.
Huntress was just like, you suck, shut up, I'm not gonna listen to you. She just like straight up will tell him like, I'm only doing this because it's easier. You're a pain in my butt. I like it. So.
She doesn't have the respect. Everybody else
Yeah.
has to revere Batman, and she doesn't at all.
No, she doesn't. I like Batman too. So
Yeah.
but it's still a fun dichotomy.
I mean, I've always loved Black Canary.
yeah,
And that's for
it's
me.
like one of those things where it's like I wouldn't ever say to Batman what Huntress says, but sometimes it's nice to hear. So
So none of our favorite is Oracle.
I mean, I love classic like Barbara Gordon Batgirl from like. There's a run of Batgirl from like the 70s where she's like a senator, and
Oh, yeah.
I love that arc. I really do.
You just
That's
wanted
classic.
to know more about like the bills they were
Yeah,
passing.
I'm like, well, what bills are you passing, Barbara? No, Black Canary, I loved
choose
as a
to
kid
veto!
because she would show up a lot in like Justice League and that
Senators
sort of
don't
thing.
have veto power.
Yeah.
is that true? I should read Batgirl.
Look, remember the Black Canary archives about the character from her very early
Oh,
days,
yes.
where she's like
Yeah.
running a flower shop and
Yeah.
stuff. And that's those are pretty rough.
She's doing appropriate
I-
things for a woman.
One of my earliest memories of Black Canary is I had this Wonder Woman comic where Black Canary needed Wonder Woman's help, and so she goes to Paradise Island, which you're not allowed to do, and she gets there, and Paradise Island like opens for her because like the island or whatever like recognizes her strength, and it's like, okay, Black Canary,
That's
you
pretty
you
sweet.
count as an Amazon.
That's
I thought
pretty
that was
sweet.
so cool.
But
I don't know what issue that
does
is.
Black
but I
Canary
have it and I
have a
loved it.
crossbow? Why don't I have a
No.
huntress
Yeah.
like figurine over here
That's true.
next to my Carrie Kelly
All
and
right.
Doc Ock?
I
All
agree.
the
We
figurines
need
are
to
probably
figure that out.
100% boobs.
We do. Huntress's costume is pretty modest, don't you think?
Well, not in the Gail Simone ones you were suggesting.
Oh.
It's not even. I wouldn't even call it a midriff. It's whatever you call something where it's
A crop
all
top?
skin from the boob down.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
So-
it's
She
modest.
doesn't, she
it's
doesn't
modest
often
in
have
Rebirth.
cleavage, I guess, if
Okay.
that's what you mean.
All right.
Yeah, I
All
think
right.
later on they're like, you know what? This can just be a full costume. It doesn't, we don't have to make this. It's like they turn.
They
if we
got
just-
the budget for
Yeah,
full
Full
fabric.
shirt.
Yeah.
They could allow full
They-
shirt.
They've somehow created a cross-shaped midriff.
That's. I guess that's where we're ending
That's
our
where
Birds
we'll
of Prey
wind up.
spotlight.
Birds of
Yeah.
Prey.
All right, Hillary.
Hey,
Thanks for.
does Catwoman strike you as somebody who is a woman but has a hard time having female friends?
I can see that.
Yeah, all right. That's been my interpretation of Catwoman lately, which is why I don't think she works in Birds of Prey.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking about how, like, Poison Ivy gets along with other characters, but every time I think about Catwoman, I'm like, no other, like, female character seems to like Catwoman.
Yeah.
I think she's just one of those people who has a hard time making female friends, and
Well,
thus has
yeah.
a hard time being in Birds of Prey.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think
Right.
she's more of a loner and probably is more comfortable manipulating men.
Yeah.
I will say in Batgirl and the Birds of Prey and Rebirth, they use Catwoman really well because a few times they call her in like as a heavy. They're like, we need
That could work.
backup. Let's call in Catwoman, and she kind of shows up and helps them, does their thing, and then goes and like
Yeah.
steals
But
a
she's not going to
cat-shaped
be like
diamond or
drinking
something.
mimosas with them.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
They're not going to invite her over.
You know what? I feel more
For-
comfortable ending our Birds of Prey segment on that than the Huntress talk. So anyway, Hillary, thanks for joining us. You could find Hillary on previously on X-Men. So go find that. What's the Twitter for that, Eric?
Previously on X, Facebook, and Twitter.
All
And
right.
you can find that show and all its past episodes at radiomeanwhile.com.
As we record now, what's your next episode?
The Wolverine.
Oh, yeah, the Wolverine.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
and then an animated series dive with The Cure for Apocalypse.
I'm excited about
Okay.
that.
So
I've never been on that show, but that's fine.
You're
Join
not
us next
welcome.
time. Join us next time as we talk Jack London and the Call of the Wild. We'll see you then.
Jack London is
I'll
also
be
my
on that
favorite bird of
episode,
prey.
I think you should. Yeah.
Yeah.